So the Senate actually, I think, is one of the easiest parts of the, I'll call it, new system to describe. What does the Senate do? So the Senate provides independent clinical advice. And we always needed, and we always will need, independent clinical advice. Now, clinical isn't doctors and nurses. It's the whole MDT. And since we're thinking about the health and care system, we're also keen that we have expertise in social care and expertise in public health within that clinical opinion. We've also got some service user reps. I was going to say patient reps, but not everybody uses a service as a patient, and so that's patients and carers, so that we are rooted in what the NHS is there to deliver on. At the moment, this is our purpose, our written purpose, to provide clinical advice to commissioners. We provide advice that we're asked for, or advice that commissioners are prepared to receive. That's not necessarily accept. The thing about advice is that people need to think about it and then decide, are they taking that advice? You know, what parts of it are they taking? Why aren't they taking that advice? If it's based in good reason and good thought, and maybe Alan or maybe colleagues will pick up on that when we hear about some of the work that the Senate's already done. So we provide advice that we're asked about. We're also prepared to provide advice about things that we as a group of people say, well, actually it seems to us that there's an issue here that hasn't been grasped by the system. But we won't spend public money developing that advice if someone's not going to be prepared to receive that in a formal sense and to consider that. The thing that's missing from that is, I'll call it provider support, provider development. I think when the Health and Social Care Act came into being about 2 years ago, that people had a very clear polar view of commissioning and service provision. And I think the reality is that it's a porous membrane between those two areas. And it's really important that we think about provider development and provider growth, and using all the assets across the system to make the changes that we want to make. So we're not against providing provider development, but we wouldn't be in the business of providing a report to a provider to protect its interests, so to speak, against the wishes of the commissioners, and the commissioners have a statutory responsibility to provide for their local population, whereas providers have a very different professional and institutional responsibilities there. I'm going on a little bit here, aren't I? Apologies for that for time. I'm not going to read through the details of all the slides, but these are the things that we do, or what we have done. And it's about a year. I think we had our first meeting in April of 2014. So we're less than a year old, and we've fed into elements of the three big service changes. You're going to hear about those later in the morning, and other pieces of work over that time. But you can break them down into these sort of bullet points. Advice to commissioners about their planned service changes, identifying and suggesting to commissioners where there's potential to make significant improvements to improve quality and experience and productivity. We don't shy away from the productivity, efficiency aspect of quality and value, and looking at commissioning plans, and at times providing advice into the formal assurance process for the sign-off of large-scale change projects. So today is, for me, it's mainly about listening. partly because we've got some great speakers, but I hope that we're also going to have some great contributions from the floor. And some of those contributions I think will be challenging. I want them to be challenging, so as we work out, well, how do we actually get ourselves to up our game? I'm not saying just the Senate with that. I think many parts of the health system need to up their game. But I do want you to contribute from the floor and to ask perceptive questions and challenging questions about things. So you've given us your time today. Some people I know can only make the morning, and some people are coming in the afternoon. I think this was titled, this session, Potential and Opportunities. Well, you are the potential, and the opportunity is to get on and do things and to shape the system that we work in, and it is our system. Sometimes you kind of sit next to people and they complain about the system, or they sort of go into their little silo and say, well, these younger people, I was doing it before with a very good friend, so these younger people don't get the same training, or these people aren't kidney doctors, they don't understand things the same way, or whatever it might be. But we are the system. The system isn't the governance structures or the buildings or the organisations. The system is the people who get up in the morning to do a good job within the NHS, within social care, within public health there. So thank you for giving us that. Do contribute through the day. These are a few quotes. I think they're similar to the quotes that are on the cardboard piece of paper on your desks, tables, and they were made by people from the Senate Council at our developmental away day. A lovely place called Brookholes, which is just off the M6 near Preston. If you've not been, it's a bird sanctuary there. It was in January we met, and it was a very nice frosty morning. It was frosty when we came out in the late afternoon as well. I'd never been there before, driven past it many times. A lovely place, and you see the enthusiasm there in the quotes. What do the stakeholders expect? Well, they expect we work in a professional manner, and I think that's this. That patients, the service users, are at the heart of the clinical advice that we give. That's what we're here to work for. That it's constructive advice. It's not about perfection that can't be achieved. It's about what can be achieved within the resources. And 107, 110 billion is quite a lot of money these days, because pounds, it's not drachma, so we're a lot better placed than other places. That it's based on evidence as much as it can be, and it's credible and authoritative, and that, as I say, it's professional, it's timely and effective. Now, you made a commitment to us today, and we make a commitment to you, and there's lots of people from the Senate Council here, and those who are interested in how the Senate works and how it, doesn't work, and people are interested in maybe joining the Assembly, which we very much like you to do, and to help shape how that broader mass of expertise can be tapped into to allow us to give advice and to develop into a better system, then this is our commitment to you, and we're here to support you and to help you join up and to challenge you to be better at that, and challenge you maybe in terms of the advice that you're feeding in. You'll have expertise in your area. I always say to patients that I wouldn't dream of looking after the left kidney. I only know about the right kidney, not about the rest of the person. But you know about a little bit of your particular expertise. But that's not what we're here about. It's how does the system work together, and we'll want to sort of help develop you. We live in interesting times. Devo Mank, what's going to the sort of the Free Republic of Manchester? Will it be red? Will it be blue? Who knows? There'll probably need to be a mixture of both. So that's taking a lot of airtime across, nationally at the moment, and obviously we've got the craziness of the electoral system upon us at the moment, and we'll have a new government of whatever complexion, and will it be red? Will it be blue? Will it be a mixture of red, blue, and is it yellow. Are they yellow? What colours? It's probably the Scots that are going to hold the balance of power. Anyway, I don't know. That's all kind of politics. But come what may, we know that the comprehensive spending review is not going to give lots of dosh to the health and care system over the next 5-year period and probably beyond. The financial crisis led to a, the demographic shift was happening anyway. The challenge across all our health system was happening anyway, but the financial crisis really just brought that brought it for us earlier to look at. So we need to be thinking about these big questions: 7-day services, better value, better outcomes for the population. And so it's a real pleasure to have Muir here today to speak. How do we work beyond our organisations? I mean, the outcomes of stroke obviously play out in social care. It's not really the health cost, it's the personal and family costs, it's the social care costs. A lot of those strokes are completely avoidable because of atrial fibrillation that's known about but not adequately treated. So it isn't about building bigger stroke units or more dialysis units or more of this to answer a downstream problem. It's how do we get smarter about managing that population so we can have excellent tertiary services, but we can also maximise on the prevention agenda there. So those questions are with us, whatever complexion our politics may have. So find out a little bit about the Senate today, where you might contribute to that or to the work of the Senate. Find out things from our speakers, excellent speakers in the morning and the afternoon, making some connections. I hope there's a bit of a mix-up between the tables if you're with people that you already know. Delighted the photographers here, so that if you're sat next to people that it's inappropriate for you to be sat next to. I'm not sure what all that was about, but that's good that the photographers are going to mix things up as well. And to enjoy yourselves, really. You're not going to learn without enjoyment, so it's not to sit here and listen, it's to enjoy.